An incredible life story is shared and told differently.
Like we say, an incredible life story, one told here is told differently. Tonight on the program, I have the pleasure to introduce you a man that wears many hats, a man who has lived a fulfilling, long and impactful life, a man that has plied his trade in various fields, some of them seemingly antagonistic. He's a veterinary doctor, he's a politician par excellence, he is an executive, but most importantly, he's retired and enjoying with bliss this moment of enjoying life after years of impactful, fulfilling work. On the program tonight, welcome our viewers, Dr. Dick Odur. Man, like I said earlier on, who wears many hats. I don't even know how to introduce you, but first, I'll introduce myself and the program. It's Incredible Life Stories with Simon Kasyate. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Tell us, these many hats that you've been wearing all your life, don't you feel sometimes the weight was a little too much on your head?
Not really. I think most of the activities I've been engaged in were something that I like doing them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like politics?
Not so much like politics, but I'm a veterinarian. So my original or the earlier activities were to deal with the livestock farmers.
Treating sick animals.
Treating sick animals, but advising farmers how best to rear their animals.
My departure point with veterinary medicine was the point where, because I love my meat, there's no single animal that would come my way for treatment and it leaves my clinic alive.
Okay.
It would end up on skewers on the barbecue.
Okay, then we are very near each other.
Not quite. I eat my patients. I would eat my patients, literally. Yes, Dr. Dick Odur, you have served so much in various capacities and in different places. And for the record, in politics, he's a chairperson of a political party. He'll be telling us more about it. He has also been a member of the Constituent Assembly. So in 1995, when we put together our new constitution, he was one of those that sat gruesomely in that room to put together our current law of the land. But also, most importantly, as an executive, he served as managing director of Uganda Dairy Corporation, which was perhaps, without a doubt, which was the only milk processing plant that we had in this country.
At the time, yes.
At the time.
Yes.
And many other things. Of course, he's now a grandfather, supportive husband, and everything in between. But let's start from the beginnings. When were you born? Where were you born? And to whom?
I was born in 1941.
1941.
Yes. In a county called Doklo then, Doklo County. It is now a district.
Then it was in Lira district.
Doklo was in Lango district.
Oh, then it was Lango, not even Lira.
It was Lango. So that's where I was born in 1941.
Wow.
Yes.
Take us back to 1941, the best of your recollection. What was your childhood like?
Well, actually I was a hard person, hunting animals. I was assisting my father with animals to go hunting animals, take the animals for drinking water far away from home. That's where my major activities.
When you talk of animals, one would imagine it's just exclusively cows. Were there some sheep, goats?
No, there were goats.
Oh.
There were goats. Some sheep also, but mainly goats and cattle, many cattle.
That having been your first formal kind of engagement, does it explain why you eventually grow and become a veterinary doctor?
No. When I reached the point of going to university, my aim was to become a human doctor.
A human doctor?
Yes. But the story changed when those days there was what was then called higher school certificate. Okay. After you finish S4, you go for higher school certificate. And the school in which I was attending my school certificate, Busoka College, Muiri, was not at that time granted higher school certificate status.
Oh.
It was only Budo then and a few other schools anyway. But some of us had, let us say, a bit of pride that when you leave school, you don't go to school again. You go to university.
You go to university.
Because Makerere at that time stopped training people for higher school certificate. There were 2 years, then that 2 years was removed from Makerere and it became higher school certificate. So I don't know how I came to know about Royal College Nairobi.
Oh.
But Royal College Nairobi is what I decided to go and do my higher school certificate. Yeah.
Was this on scholarship? Was this on your dad's pass?
Well, I was on scholarship from my district.
Oh.
You know, districts those days used to give certain, not everybody, certain people's payment of school fees, all school fees.
Bursary would come.
Okay, bursary, probably that's the thing. Because there are other things like your transport and stuff. So going to Nairobi, I was going to study free. So when I went to Nairobi for the 2 years Royal College Nairobi, it became clear that I should continue with my education in Nairobi. But then there was no medical school at that time in Kenya. But then, you know, some teachers and friends, mainly teachers, said, look, why do you want to bother to go to Makerere or somewhere else? There is veterinary medicine here. And the two professions, at least their activities deal with saving life or promoting better life, but ours is of animals. So they said, well, look,
It's the same.
you're welcome to study veterinary medicine. And that school was located at Kabete. I'm sure you know where Kabete is.
Kabete. Lower or upper Kabete?
I think it is upper Kabete. I'm also not very sure now. But it was at Kabete.
The geography could have changed.
It could have changed. And, you know, those days is when we had what was called University of East Africa. You heard of it? There was a University of East Africa.
Where is its current location now?
I think it died a natural death. The campus were three. Makerere University College campus in Kampala. University College, Nairobi. In fact, the Royal College that became University College, Nairobi. Then there is a University College, Dar es Salaam.
So the three university colleges form the East African University.
And things were quite okay. The training and all, there were no complaints at all. During my time there, I became the president of the Students' Union.
Now the politics is beginning to slip in. You were doing a gruesome course, veterinary medicine, but somehow you are now elected as chairperson of the Students' Union.
When I was the president there, it so happened, I don't know what kind of arrangement, president of the union of the student union Dar es Salaam was not a Tanzanian. He was a Kenyan, let me put it that way. And the one who was elected in Makerere was not a Ugandan, but was a Tanzanian. You know, that was something that we realized much later. That
quite unprecedented.
It was just a coincidence. When we were graduating, the three heads of states
The
were
three
there.
from Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania.
Odur was there. Kenyatta was there. And
Julius Nyerere.
Nyerere was there. Putting their hands on her.
That must have felt electric.
It was very exciting, and you also get a little bit afraid.
That's what I'm saying. It must have been very electric for a young man,
Yeah.
having perhaps never even met their own president.
Yes.
Now you're meeting three, and they're all conferring onto you
Yes,
a university degree.
Yes. That was the practice. I don't know now what happens. I think the graduation today, the people are so many that that kind of exercise,
I know laying hands may be a full-time job for the president.
it would be very difficult to
But before we can proceed with your life story, Dr. Odur, on the program we take a couple of breaks, and now you've taken us to your education. We return from the break and talk about your earlier education, where it was and what you best recall about it.
Yeah.
But just as we go into a break, one would want to know, now that you're in retirement, a very quick recap of what gets you out of bed every morning.
These days, most of my thinking is actually about the country.
Oh,
You want to wake up in the morning.
a better country.
I always have to read newspapers anyway, or attend to news. That's what makes me wake up to listen to what's happening around and so forth. And there isn't very much else. It is about thinking what is happening, when you are away, permanently away from the world, you want to leave behind something
Oh, yes.
memorable. You want to leave peaceful people behind you as family and so forth. That is the kind of thing that every morning something like that comes into one's mind.
Thanks, Dr. Dill. Let's take a break. When we return, it's more about your life story. It's Incredible Life Stories with Simon Kasyate.
An incredible life story is shared and told differently.
It's Incredible Life Stories with Simon Kasyate. Tonight on the program, a man that has done quite a bit of juggling several balls in the air and done so successfully. He is a successful veterinary doctor. He's an executive and served as managing director of Uganda Dairy Corporation. But he also served as a politician, or he's still serving, told such habits never die at all. He was in the Constituent Assembly, and of course, he's now the chairperson of a political party, and he'll be telling us more about that. Mzee Dr. Dick Odur. So you study your veterinary medicine from the University of East Africa. You graduate and have all the 3 East African presidents confer the degree on your head, literally. What was your first posting and where was it?
Of course, I came back to Uganda and was interviewed, as the policy was then, by the public service of Uganda.
At that time, you'd have to get into the public
You have
service,
got
not
to
to do
public
private
service
practice.
is the one who will allow
Deploy
you to be called a civil servant of Uganda. Wow. Without that, you can't get anywhere. So after my interview, I passed the interview, of course. I was then posted to the Ministry of Animal Industry, Fish and Game and Fisheries.
Oh, that's how it was called?
Ministry of Animal Industry, Game and Fisheries. Agriculture was not there. Agriculture was a separate ministry.
So here it was strictly animals, both livestock and game.
and
fisheries.
and fisheries.
Interesting.
So ours, of course, was the livestock aspect. There was also fishery department somewhere.
And
then there's a game
wildlife
department somewhere. So I was posted to that ministry, and our headquarters was in Wandegea. Do you remember, or do you see the Ministry of Public Service there?
Yes.
That was the headquarters of the Ministry of Animal Industry, Game and Fisheries.
Oh,
Yes.
that's interesting.
The building inside there were part of the ministry. I think what the public service has put up there is that building towards the road.
The road,
Inside
yes.
there.
The rest of the old buildings
Yeah,
from
the
your
old
time.
buildings there, even the new one towards the end there, which I think is now something else, but within the public service. That was the headquarters of the Ministry of Animal Industry, Game and Fisheries. It was during the Museveni's time that the two ministries, agriculture and the livestock industry, were
put together.
combined. The headquarters was taken away from there
To Entebbe.
into
Perfectly understood there.
Yeah.
Let's go back to your earlier years of education. As a young man growing up in that county you called Dohoro,
Yes.
which primary school did you go to and how close was it?
I was in what was then State Doctor Primary School. And that county did not, at least the sub-county did not have then what they call primary 4, primary 5 and primary 6.
Oh,
It was in another school, and one of those things I remember up today is that when the results came, we passed very well. In fact, I caught up with my brother. I don't know where, anyway, in the system. So we all sat primary 4 together, and we passed. So my father then knew some schools. I didn't know schools in those days. So he put us on a bike, on a bicycle, one bicycle.
you and
Me
your brother.
was young, was sitting in front, you know.
on the frame
My brother was
and the carrier.
carrying the small luggages that we had, and we have to drive here to cycle about, I don't know, less than 10 miles anyway.
Whoa.
Less than 10 miles to a county, it is now a district, I think, Kalaki.
Kalaki, yes, it's a
You have heard
district.
of Kalaki?
Yes.
Yes. They had, Kalaki had a primary school which had P5 and P6. So that's where I went. The headmaster then said, look, I can only admit one of your boys.
Oh.
So let me take this small one. So my father then abandoned me there with my luggage. That you have been admitted, there's no going back. I think it was like either a Saturday or a Sunday, because it was before the school was going to open
On Monday.
on Monday. I think it was a Saturday or maybe a Friday. So I was admitted there for 2 years. I remember even staying in a store waiting for the school to open and the dormitory to open. Yes.
And then for your secondary school, where do you go? Did you immediately cross over to Musoga College, Miri, or there was an intermediate?
No, I was always moving away from home, away from. I don't know if you have heard of Ngora High School.
I have heard of Ngora High School.
Yes, that was those days a very attractive school to us. So instead of trying to go back to Lango, moving upwards.
Were you going upwards or you're coming downwards but eastwards? Right to connect to Nairobi.
Whatever it is. So I went to Ngara High School. That's when I did my 2 years.
To the best of your recollection, what did you dream of being? Did you have a particular vocation you thought you would be, dreamt you would be, or would you wake up one morning a lawyer, the next morning an engineer, the next morning a pilot?
No, I think as I moved up in studies, the interest of doing medicine
Narrowed to that.
narrowed to that. Yeah.
Of course, the natural progression these days was you got a good education, get good grades or a degree for that matter, get a good job, start a family. So we've gotten to the point where now you are admitted with the Ministry of Public Service and taken to the Ministry of an interesting name. Animal industry, game and fisheries. Let's take a short break. When we return here on Incredible Life Stories, now you tell us how life is progressing. But I'll ask, do you read books? I'm not talking about your veterinary books or anything, but do you read nowadays that you are now in retirement?
Well, not so much, but I used to read novels.
Novels. But what kind of novels did you love to read?
This is some exciting stories, adventures, and so forth, things of that nature.
Incredible. Wow.
But my memory now is a bit limited to a few things, so I can't remember.
That's
some
why
of
they
these
say.
authors and so forth.
That's why many times they say old is gold. It's Incredible Life Stories. We'll be right back.
Okay.
An incredible life story is shared and told differently.
Incredible Life Story with Simon Kasyate. These stories are something out of this world, only until you sit and listen to them. Folks like Dr. Odur, you wouldn't be wrong to say they have lived the proverbial 9 lives, considering how much they've done in so short a period, but yet very fulfilling. The question was how you were able to live different vocations, some of which perhaps at variance with the other. Veterinary doctor, politician, executive, and yet you are able to weave through. Should we say you are a jack of all trades and a master of adaptability?
I've been living through different communities. When I went to this Kalaki thing, that was not the Lao community. So I think one adjusts to be friendly to, and whatever it is. And when I moved to Ngora, I was also a completely different community. You meet some very good friends, and you adjust according to that. When I came to Miri, different community, and I remember in Miri, those of us who stayed in some houses, which I think Obate also stayed in them, I don't remember now. We seem to be very proud. We are stayed, or we have been in the school where the president has passed through. So I think my moving through different communities to cultivate friends in different communities, to learn this, I think that contributed a lot to my being able to adjust. In our time, I'm sure I remember. What was very important as student politics was to negotiate for better
Conditions in terms of student
better condition, better food in quality and quantity. But in Nairobi, there is this road from Kampala that goes into Nairobi.
Yes, it's now Waiyaki Way.
Is it Waiyaki Way now?
That's what they call it.
Yeah, so University of Nairobi now.
It's on either side of the road.
Now crossing that road from the residence to the lecturers area there was a big problem. And we students, when a student leader, you've got to find a way. There was always demonstration, not against government, against police. We wanted police to ensure that when we are passing in the morning, there is some bit of leaving us room to pass. Not the situation where the cars are so frightening.
Now you have it all going for yourself. You are educated, you have a job. Isn't it about time to meet somebody to stay with for the rest of your life? Take us through that, sir. How did you meet her?
Well, when I came back from the States, I went to States for further studies.
Also, when in here, you did not, date to anything. You just studied, got a job, and then went for further studies.
Yes, in actual further study in 1969.
1969.
When I was still in the field as a district veterinary officer. The ministry had some scholarships from the United States of America. So they were giving those
to hardworking people.
To hardworking people, to people who wanted to do some studies. So, but when I came back...
Where did you go for your further studies? The US, which university?
Michigan State University.
Michigan State University.
For my master's, yeah.
Wow. A master's in veterinary medicine?
Yes, not directly medicine, but now things to do with the livestock development. That's things to do with development.
But you are a little young man from Dohoro who possibly had not jumped on an airplane. Do you still remember that first experience of leaving this country to the United States of America?
It was not so new to me to get to travel by air.
Oh.
Because at the university, you remember I told you I was president of the Students' Union. During my time, there was an international conference for student leaders. So I had to go with my secretary. We went to Bulgaria. A town called Sofia.
Wow.
That is where the international conference was. So I had already been there. And those days, the European students leaders were very powerful. I don't know, because when we were in that conference, they were extending invitation to us to go to their country, and they would pay what?
For you to be there.
They would pay the ticket. So me, of course, naturally, I chose to go to UK. That was 1962, 63 there.
Oh, that time we were getting independence.
I went to UK for a week. And, they book us in to move around, seeing what the place is like. Nothing in particular.
So you go study in Michigan State University and come back. Had you at that point even had an idea who you would marry?
As somebody who was already a civil servant, remember?
Yes.
So I was now coming back, of course, looking for bigger posting or something. But during that time, in 71, towards the end of 71, you remember there was, that is when Amin
Yes.
took over.
Took over power, yes.
Yes. So, and I was about to finish my education. We were so disturbed. And the university there were some students also from Tanzania and so forth. And we actually demonstrated against
Carried placards and demonstrated.
But more sudden news was that my brother was a helicopter pilot.
Oh.
So in the army. So when the coup, there were the people who were bundled up, taken to Luzira. And I was therefore really keen to come and see that I could at least try to assist my brother to be out. But this was not to be the case because I think it was in 72 there was an attempt
On his life.
on Amin. So during that attack, the soldiers who were in prison were all taken to the front for the war. And nobody ever told us really what happened. But they never came back. The soldiers never came back. So we never saw the body and so forth. So that was something that clouded my life when I came. But all the same, when I came back to Uganda through friends, because there was not too much movement during Amin's time. One had to be somewhat careful. So through friends and some colleagues, they introduced me, of course, to several people because I had been away. Several people. And, anyway, I found myself sticking to my present wife.
Face to face with a gorgeous lady. And like they say, the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Have you been blessed by or with any children?
And we were here until 75. When 73, I think, when we got posted back to the field.
Oh, away from the center.
Away from the center. But it was a promotional posting. I became what they then call regional veterinary officer. And I couldn't really, do that kind of work without a family at home, without a wife at home and so forth. So I got posted there, and the region, those days were only 4 regions: North, East, West, and Buganda. So my western region started from Bunyoro, Toro, Ankole, and Kigezi.
That was huge.
Yes. So I'll be traveling, administratively anyway, traveling to those areas, supervising and whatnot, the veterinary staff who are there and whatever it is. So that was my big posting, and with my family, of course, with the wife.
That's very interesting. And of course, like they say, you live happily ever after. Have you been blessed by any children?
One of them is around here.
Wow,
this one, is he gone? Is there? No, I've been blessed with five children. 3 boys and 2 girls. One of the girls is in the States, no, in the UK. One is here, but doing some work to do with it. Environmental control or things of this. These things of climate change for these days. And those are the 2 girls. The 3 boys, one of them is an engineer. I don't think you would have met him. He was here this morning. He drove up to Ginger for his work. And the other one does help do some work with me here. So those are the children.
Wow, and of course, that's needless to mention the number of grandchildren.
Those are many. Those are many.
But in all this, that time, you were working heavy jobs, some requiring you to leave home that you know to far off locations and back, and then you are raising a young family. Would you mind sharing with us how you were able to pull off something like that, being able to work, live on your work, but also raise a family?
I think the time was there, generally speaking. The time was there because most of the time, I think we have been through, you would call, a situation where you don't venture too much. So me, I was a home person, but a golfer. So I would be playing my golf, get back home, playing my golf.
By the time you retired, you were handicapped number what?
I think I could be 16 or I think 16.
That's a good one.
Because I was not.
You're not the pro per se.
I was average golfer. But I liked the sport very much. Of course, I was winning some prizes and locally and so forth. Yeah. So that and the children also were busy. So it was only with Madame that we were able to, spend our time together.
You are serving all these roles, but somehow 1994 comes and there is a call for folks to contest to join the Constituent Assembly.
Yeah. Well,
you left a career to join another career.
I wanted that's what you could say. I wanted now to join politics.
Why?
So this Constituent Assembly was very attractive because they actually gave us some kind of reason that they needed people who can think and try to put a future for Uganda. So we are attracted. I said, I think we are likely to go and meet like-minded people, and indeed that was the case. So I went back to Doklo, but maybe I could say this also, that when I came back from exile, I went to, did I tell you about the exile?
Yes, you said something about it.
Yeah. In 1980, I found, going back to the ministry was becoming now more difficult because the people you leave behind
have taken over.
They have taken over, and they also don't look at you very welcome, because
You take that
you have done so much this way. And some of them actually can annoy you to say, if you come, you start from the bottom like everybody else. Can you imagine that kind of thing was already happening in Uganda? So I tried to stand to go to Parliament earlier in the election of 1980. Is it 1980?
1980 is when there was an election.
Yes.
Then the election was rigged. Then you had President Museveni and his good.
That rigged election, I was one of those people who was rigged.
Oh.
But I didn't go back to the bush.
You didn't go to the bush. You chose to let it go. You sat it out.
No, mine was very annoying, because we campaigned, and one of the candidates who later became a member of parliament was not very common. So during the primaries, as they call them, when your party elects the candidate for that constituency, you go for what they call primary election. It happens up to today. If you are not elected, of course, you can't stand that you are representing certain party. So in my UPC, I was, of course, a favorite person. So this question of lining up was there. It was a new thing to us, to me. So, and they say when you line up, you don't look backwards. You don't look backwards. So my line there was long, but then I started hearing some shouting, some struggling. I looked back, people were pulling some people from my line.
Oh.
Yes, because the person who was with me now was the wife of a soldier. So the rigging was there. Although I came, I was, as expected, I was very angry, really. So I came to the president then, of the party. But I said, look, I'm sure you heard of the story. Although this lady won, it was a lady who was standing with me. So then this lady won, this and this happened, and we have got people to give you the exact story. And I said, oh, well, you people go back for re-election.
Re-election?
But you cannot have a re-election with the army involved, so to speak. Anyway, that is what the starting point was of
politics.
Of politics.
Fast forward today, you are a chairperson of a political party. Mind telling us the political party?
Well, no longer an active chairman, I must say. I think there's somebody already. This is People's Progressive Party.
People's Progressive Party.
Which
I was
with
Binandi.
In fact, I was with the Binandi. I didn't know him, but we somehow became friends in the Constituent Assembly. That's
and then forged a strong friendship and alignment.
Not only why we became good friends was that when we were about to finish the Constituent Assembly, he told me he had a job for me. They wanted me to be the chairman of the
Government Finance Commission.
Yeah, because that commission was under the local government ministry, and Bidande was the minister for local government. So I said, well. I said, I don't know. Let me go and consult My group of the UPC group, our leader then was Cecilia Ogwal, the late. And the late, I asked her whether I could take this job after we described it and all that. He said, no, it's okay. You take the job.
How were you able to treat these different and sometimes at variance locations? In a medical capacity. Now here comes the politics. It involves people management, people dealing with interpersonal skills.
My favorite dish now is controlled very, very much by my condition. So I generally like fruits, plenty of fruits, and plenty of vegetables. And my favorite dish then would be fish.
Fish. Wow.
And also growing back in the village, there was also a fisherman. You know the small boys who go
to fish in the swamp.
Yes. So actually, my favorite dish is fish.
Fish.
From that time.
And how would you love to wash it down? Glass of wine, bottle of beer, shot of whiskey?
I had took beer quite a bit. And wine is also one of them. I think if I were still drinking, wine would be my best washing drink.
Yeah, I can see you have sophisticated tastes and preferences. It's an incredible life story with Simon Kasyate. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
An incredible life story is shared and told differently.
Albeit the slight accident you told us about, you seem to be enjoying your evening years with a lot of strength and good health. What's the secret to living this long?
I don't know. I think the secret is to eat good food, good natural food. You can do that. And try to avoid things that stress life very much. If you can try to look forward to good life, look forward to good things, try to avoid negativity. I think those kind of things make people live longer. Some friends, when we joke with them, they said, hey, my friend, my colleague, how old are you now, by the way? I said, well, I'm just 83 years young.
Just 83 years.
Young. Yes. So those kind of things, and I think, contribute to long life, good feeding and good thinking. But avoid things like drinking too much, if you can still drink. But for me, I don't drink now completely. I don't take things like sugar. I used to take honey, but a little bit here and there. And I don't take fried food. If I can boiled things like boiled eggs and so forth. That's about all. As I told you, fruits, vegetables is very good for life.
And finally, what are you looking at in terms of future prospect? What is there an unfulfilled dream that you want to achieve? Is there an unrealized?
Yes.
What are you looking forward to?
What I'm looking forward to now is I want my children want us to form, to develop a very good business sort of situation. The kind of business I'm thinking about is that in the village, Dohno there, we want to put up very, very big produce store.
Oh.
Where we become buyers of produce. So during harvest time, we store this, and we export them within the country here to wherever it is, whatever it is. That's the kind of thing that I want my children in particular to be able to develop there. They may not be there, but these days you can manage things. Digital age, you don't have to be physical anyway. And I also want them to develop this land properly. We have lived here for quite some time. We have not put anything here, but we want to know if the children can manage to put some activity here, put some building. It is up to them what type of building to put here, which can be a source of income for them. Because we are near the university here. We are near the police headquarters is there and all that. Whatever can be done here, there is a market for it.
Wow. Do you discuss do you have these conversations currently with your children?
Yeah.
That's great.
This one who lives abroad and another one, the engineer, yes, I have discussed it with them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure listening to your incredible life story, Dr. Odur. Yeah. We can say that we're glad you honored our request too. But we can also say we wish you the very best in your future endeavors. But we also recognize the fact that you have lived a meaningful and impactful life.
And for me, I want to say thank you very, very much indeed. You have enriched my thinking, and you have put something on record which me and my family will forever remember. And because you are also in there in terms of your photo, your face and all that, we will always remember, and my children will always remember that there is somebody who had a discussion with my father, and somebody who gave us a very good listening, and I think you are the one of those. And I want to thank God that has been able to direct things in His own way for us to have met and for us to have conducted this conversation together. We never planned it, but it just came, and we thank God for that.
It's very heartwarming. To our viewers who always catch this program on this channel. Indeed, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, you know the button to press. Always follow us. It's incredible life story with Simon Kasyate. Bring you stories told differently. Stay with us. We shall return same time, same place next week with yet another incredible life story told differently.
An incredible life story is shared and told differently.